big scary thing and I was going to be titled as that. I just wanted to tackle it on because I feel like there should be conversation.
And I would want nothing more than to give you my attention and to give you everything.
Something is seriously going on in Hollywood right now, and if you've been keeping even one eye on your social feed, you've probably seen the signs. One moment, Justin and Hailey are all smiles, posting those everything's fine pictures. The next, whispers start leaking from people close to the couple. Whispers that Justin is thinking about walking away. And no, this isn't just another silly rumor. This is coming from inside their inner circle. And it's not about love fading. It's about control. Control that Justin reportedly feels he can't breathe under. But that's only half of what's blowing up right now, because just as this storm is brewing, Selena Gomez, yes, the Selena Gomez, breaks her silence in a way no one saw coming. And when she did, let's just say it wasn't a sweet, nostalgic love story. She's hinting no, she's practically spelling out details about Justin's private struggles that are way darker than anyone in the public ever imagined. And the way she says it? Let's just say, there's no coming back from these kinds of words once they're out there. Two stories. One tangled history. And when you put them together, they don't just sound dramatic, they sound like the kind of Hollywood chain reaction that ends careers, destroys reputations, and maybe even rewrites everything we thought we knew about these three. So how did we get here? How do you go from one of the most public romances in pop culture to a possible divorce over accusations of control? And why would Selena, who's been so quiet for so long, suddenly open up now about Justin's addictions? I'm telling you, when you start connecting these dots, it stops looking like a coincidence and starts looking like a plan. Let's rewind for a second, because none of this makes sense unless you remember the years of silent tension. Justin and Hailey's perfect marriage was always painted as this fairy tale, the spontaneous proposal, the rushed wedding, the Instagram captions dripping with love. But anyone who's been watching closely knows, the cracks have been there. And not just little cracks, we're talking about public meltdowns, awkward red carpet moments, and Hailey's uncanny habit of posting. Just happened, couple pics right when breakup rumors start trending. Now, sources close to the Biebers are saying Justin feels more like a brand than a husband. That every part of his life is curated, packaged, and controlled, and that Hailey might be the one holding more of the strings than anyone realizes. The word they're using? Suffocating. And apparently, Justin's been quietly reaching out to old friends, people Hailey reportedly doesn't approve of him talking to. And then, here's where it gets messy. Right as those whispers are getting louder, Selena Gomez steps in. And not with a shady TikTok or a cryptic Instagram story. No, she comes right out in an interview and talks about Justin in a way that makes your jaw drop. She talks about his past, about the struggles she says she had to watch firsthand, about addictions. And if you listen closely, you realize she's not just telling her side of an old breakup, she's confirming rumors Justin has denied for years. And the timing? Couldn't be worse for him. Fans are taking sides. Some are saying Selena's just telling her truth and protecting her image, while others are accusing her of stirring the pot at the exact moment Justin's marriage is under fire. And Hailey? She's been silent, no denial, no clapback, no subtle likes or shady unfollows, yet. But sources say she's been meeting privately with PR teams, which is never a good sign. And here's the thing. When celebrities start meeting with PR experts and refusing to comment, it usually means the real story is even messier than what we're seeing online. We're talking about NDA breaking, lawyer calling, damage control messy. So, what is actually happening here? Is Justin really planning to end things with Hailey? Did Selena just blow open secrets that could haunt him for years? And why does it feel like every move, every quote, every post in this saga is timed like it's part of a bigger play? We're going to break down everything, the behind-the-scenes sources, the public statements, the clues in old interviews, and the quiet little moves that make this whole thing feel less like random drama and more like a carefully choreographed Hollywood implosion. Because when you look at the timeline, the patterns, and the fact that these two massive stories are hitting at the exact same time, you start to wonder, is this war? Buckle up. Because once you hear the full story, you're not going to look at Justin, Hailey, or Selena the same way again. Please don't forget to subscribe and like this video. It is free and help us bring you enjoyable content. And of course, watch till the end. Alright, brace yourselves, because this is one of those wild celebrity rabbit holes that starts with, huh, that's odd, and ends with you staring at your screen at 3 a.m. wondering if you accidentally signed up to be a conspiracy theorist. The headline practically writes itself. They found out that, like, I think it was an arranged marriage, I'm pretty sure. Definitely an arranged marriage. I think you guys would be good friends. It was definitely an arranged marriage. Now, if that's not already enough to make your brain tilt sideways, buckle up, because the real plot twist is that this isn't even the juiciest part. Oh no, my friend. We're talking about Justin Bieber here, and apparently, according to a mix of hardcore internet sleuths and casual Twitter night owls, there's speculation, big, bold, eyebrow-raising speculation, that the Biebs himself might be on the verge of being thrown into a conservatorship. Yes, like Britney Spears. And yes, people have receipts. Or at least, screenshots they swear are receipts. Now here's the part where I had to rub my eyes and say, wait, what? Because I had no clue this rumor wasn't brand new. Turns out it's been lurking in the shadowy corners of stan forums and gossip subs since way back in 2014. That's almost a decade of quiet whispers. But here's where it gets extra spicy. Not only has the chatter never fully died, but the cast of characters involved reads like a crossover episode between a celebrity drama, a business thriller, and a Sunday church bulletin. And, trust me, once you hear who's allegedly at the center of these dots being connected, you're going to raise both eyebrows and possibly a third imaginary one. But before we peel back the layers, quick note, all of this is based on fan theories, public records, and social media chatter. Nothing here is confirmed fact unless otherwise stated, so we're in speculative tea territory. Okay, good. Because now we're going in deep. So here's where the internet's trail begins. Flashback to 2014, Justin's behavior was, well, erratic would be the polite word. Paparazzi were eating well because every other day, there was some viral clip of Justin storming off stage, ranting on Instagram, or wearing outfits that looked like they'd been picked in the dark. Fast forward through the years, and fans kept noting two things. One, his mental health seemed to be struggling, and two, there were sudden bursts of professional decisions that didn't quite make sense for someone in his position. This is where the conservatorship rumor was born. The theory goes, someone in his inner circle might try to gain legal control over his life and career under the guise of protecting him. And if you followed the Britney Spears saga, you already know that protecting can sometimes translate to controlling every dollar, every contract, and sometimes even personal freedoms. So when fans heard whispers of paperwork and business ties that looked suspiciously like moves made before other celebs got placed under conservatorship, the alarm started going off. But who exactly would have the power and the motive to make this happen? For the uninitiated, Lou Taylor isn't some random side character in Hollywood. She's a powerhouse business manager, the same one who is famously connected to Britney Spears' conservatorship. So when fans dug into Justin's recent business filings and found a link to her, you could practically hear the internet's collective gasp. Here's the tea. Justin's touring company, TriStar Sports and Entertainment Group, is tied to an address on Sunset Boulevard in West Hollywood. Now, nothing weird about that, until you find out that his other company, Beaver Time LLC, also lists a mailing address on the exact same street. And then, plot twist, a document filed in November 2022 was addressed to TriStar and had Justin's name on it. The kicker? The document listed a manager or member name, and while Justin is not a manager, Lou Taylor is. Connect those dots and you start to see why some people are side-eyeing this whole situation. It's not just business overlap. It's business overlap with a person who has a controversial history in the exact kind of legal arrangement people fear Justin could end up in. Now here's where things get both holy and unholy depending on how you look at it. Justin has been vocal about his faith, but he's made it clear he's not with Hillsong anymore. He belongs to a different mega church called Chahome. So what's the big deal? Well, guess who's on the board of directors there? Yep, Lou Taylor. So now we have Justin's touring company and his church both linked to the same person. And it's happening at a time when fans are convinced his mental health is fragile, making him a potential target for protective legal arrangements. Imagine being in a circle where your career and your faith community are both influenced by someone with the kind of history Lou has. That's the kind of coincidence that fuels 10-hour Reddit deep dives. But wait, the rabbit hole gets darker. Just when you think this is all about business connections, in swoops a theory that makes it even messier. There are rumors, again, all unconfirmed, that Justin's own father might have been in talks with Britney's dad, Jamie Spears, to discuss putting Justin into a conservatorship. That's like a plotline you'd reject in a soap opera for being too on the nose. If true, it would suggest not only outside influence, but internal family involvement, which is exactly the kind of setup that trapped Britney for over a decade. And all of this was swirling before Justin made another head-scratching move, selling his music catalog. In January 2023, news broke that Justin sold his entire music catalog for $200 million. Now, don't get me wrong, that's life-changing money for normal humans. But for a global pop icon whose hits have been streamed billions of times, fans immediately thought it was suspiciously low. To make the comparison clear, Scooter Braun sold just 6 of Taylor Swift's masters for $360 million. That's 6 albums versus Justin's entire career. So why would he take that deal? Was it a smart financial decision, or was someone advising or pressuring him into a quick sale? This is where the industry power players step onto the stage. Behind the scenes of Justin's sale is a company called Hypnosis Songs Capital, which bought his catalog. One of its biggest investors is Blackstone, a private equity giant headed by Steven Schwartzman. In 2022, Schwartzman reportedly made $1.3 billion. Yes, in 1 year. So now you've got billion-dollar hedge funds scooping up music rights from artists, often when those artists are vulnerable, tired of touring, or just looking for a way out of industry grind. Fans argue that Justin's deal looks more like a corporate acquisition than an artist-led choice. And if you believe the conservatorship theory, this could be part of a larger plan to consolidate control over his assets. Of course, you can't talk about Justin without talking about Scooter Braun, his longtime manager and the guy who has his own history of controversial business moves. Just ask Taylor Swift fans. The comparison here is almost too easy. Scooter made far more money on fewer assets. So was Justin's deal just bad negotiation, or was it structured to benefit someone else more than him? Fans can't decide which is worse. In the age of TikTok think pieces and Twitter threads, rumors don't just fade, they mutate. Every time Justin appears in public looking tired or posts something cryptic on Instagram, the speculation flares up again. The story has all the ingredients of viral obsession. A beloved pop star, shady business connections, religious intrigue, family drama, and the shadow of Britney Spears' very public legal battle. And the more you look, the more you see patterns, whether they're real or just fan-constructed. Britney Spears, Amanda Bynes, even minor cases like Lindsay Lohan's brief guardianship situations. Hollywood has a history of putting troubled young stars into legal arrangements that last far longer than the help they're supposed to provide. Fans fear Justin could be next on that list, especially because he ticks so many of the early warning boxes: erratic behavior, high-value assets, influential business managers, and a close circle with mixed motives. Here's the thing, Justin has never directly addressed the conservatorship rumors. Maybe because they're nonsense, maybe because they hit too close to home, nobody knows. But in the absence of clear denials, fans keep filling the silence with their own narratives. And in celebrity culture, perception can become reality frighteningly fast. If the theories are right, Justin could either be months away from losing autonomy or actively working behind the scenes to protect himself. If they're wrong, he might just be a 30-year-old artist making unpredictable choices in a brutal industry. But either way, the stakes feel high. Some believe Lou Taylor is slowly weaving herself deeper into Justin's personal and professional life until she has leverage. Others think the music catalog sale was a way to liquidate assets before legal control shifted. The wildest ones? That this is all part of a bigger network of celebrity asset control involving multiple stars. Whether or not Justin ever ends up in a conservatorship, the fact that this rumor exists at all says a lot about how little trust fans have in the entertainment industry. Between managers, labels, private equity firms, and religious leaders, there are plenty of people who stand to gain when a young star loses control. So here we are, a decade of rumors, a web of business ties, a $200 million sale, and a pop star whose next move could prove everyone wrong or confirm the darkest suspicions. What do you think? Is Justin just making bold career moves, or is there a quiet storm brewing behind the scenes? Drop your thoughts, share this breakdown, and keep your eyes peeled because in the world of celebrity power plays, the truth has a funny way of breaking when you least expect it. In another news, it's funny how some stories just stick to you, like glitter from a New Year's Eve party. No matter how much you try to shake them off, they're just there. That's exactly what happened the moment the whispers about Justin Bieber's recent behavior hit the internet. At first, it sounded like the usual celebrity gossip cycle: grainy paparazzi photos, sources with suspiciously vague quotes, and endless TikTok theories dissecting every wrinkle in a hoodie. But then came the curveball. Selena Gomez, yes, that Selena Gomez, was reportedly concerned for his well-being. Not just, "Oh, I hope he's okay" concern. No, the kind of deep, gnawing worry you feel for someone you've shared chapters of your life with. And suddenly, the whole conversation shifted from "what's going on with Bieber's hair" to "wait, is something really wrong here?" Because when an ex who knows you better than most says she's worried, it's hard to just shrug it off. So let's rewind and set the scene, because this isn't just another celebrity rumor. This is a tangled web of history, public scrutiny, and the tricky reality of living in the spotlight when the whole world thinks they have a say in your life. Remember a few weeks ago when photos of Justin in New York blew up online? At first glance, it was just another round of paparazzi candids, Bieber in sweats, baseball cap pulled low, beard a little scruffy. But people didn't see off-duty star this time. Fans started posting side-by-side comparisons, old, glowing Justin next to this more worn-down version, and suddenly the internet was full of questions no one could answer. Was he sick? Was he struggling? And then came the word no one wanted to hear: relapse. Now, to be clear, relapse rumors are not new territory for celebrities. It's a sad part of the fame cycle. A star looks different for 5 seconds, and suddenly the tabloids are diagnosing them from afar. But this time felt heavier, partly because of who was reportedly voicing the concern. Selena Gomez and Justin Bieber's relationship is basically modern pop culture folklore. Years of breakups, makeups, songs written about each other, and enough emotional baggage to fill a tour bus. What exactly does she know? What has she heard or seen that's making her speak up now? And why does this story feel less like a tabloid rumor and more like a red flag waving furiously in front of us all? Well, to unpack that, we have to dive into Justin's recent history, the pressures of being in the public eye 24/7, and why even people who've moved on can't help but care when someone from their past seems to be in trouble. Let's start with the public appearances that sparked all this. The New York photos weren't the only time Justin's been spotted looking, well, unlike his usual self lately. In multiple fan videos and street snaps, his vibe has been different, more withdrawn. Less life of the party, and more, please don't look at me right now. And look, we all have off days. Sometimes your skin's breaking out, your hoodie's from 3 laundry days ago, and you've only had 2 hours of sleep. But when you're Justin Bieber, every single off day gets magnified by 1,000 lenses and dissected frame by frame. Which raises the question, how much of this is just the internet overanalyzing, and how much is the smoke before a bigger fire? Because here's the thing. While Justin's team, especially his manager, has been quick to shut down the relapse rumors, calling them completely false and 100% made up, it's also true that celebrity reps often go into damage control mode even when something is happening behind the scenes. That's not to say anyone's lying. It's just that the entertainment industry tends to protect its own until they can control the narrative. And in the absence of hard facts, the speculation fills in the gaps. Which is why Selena's involvement makes this whole thing so fascinating. She doesn't need to insert herself into Bieber gossip. She's got her own thriving career, her own love life, and an image that's carefully built around authenticity and kindness. So if she's genuinely worried enough to talk to people about it, that suggests she sees something the rest of us don't. Maybe it's in the way he speaks lately. Maybe it's in private updates from mutual friends. Or maybe it's just a gut feeling. And anyone who's ever had a deep emotional connection with someone knows how eerily accurate those can be. Of course, this isn't just about Justin and Selena. It's about the bigger conversation we almost never have, what it actually means to watch someone you care about, even from a distance, potentially spiral. It's messy. You want to help, but you don't want to overstep. You've moved on, but part of you will always be connected. And if you're both public figures, every word you say, or don't say, becomes part of a global conversation you can't control. That's the emotional tightrope Selena might be walking right now. And honestly, it's one that a lot of people, famous or not, can relate to. Ever had an ex or old friend you don't talk to anymore, but you still check up on from time to time, just to make sure they're okay? It's human nature. And in a world that loves to watch people rise and fall, it's worth asking ourselves, do we want to be part of the problem or part of the support system? That's the cliffhanger we're hanging on to here. Because as much as this is about Justin and Selena and the swirling gossip machine, it's also about what happens next. Does Justin come forward and address the rumors directly? Does Selena speak out publicly? Or do we get another round of cryptic Instagram posts and carefully worded interviews that only add to the mystery? Whatever happens, you can bet the internet will be watching. And maybe, just maybe, so will the people who care about him the most, quietly hoping he's okay, even if they can't say it out loud. It's wild, isn't it? How one blurry paparazzi photo can ripple into a full-blown internet mystery, complete with Reddit threads, TikTok, body language experts, and armchair psychologists diagnosing from a distance. That's where we are with Justin Bieber right now, one part genuine concern, one part pop culture spectacle. But let's be real, Justin has always been more than just a celebrity. For a whole generation, he's the soundtrack to first crushes, awkward middle school dances, and those car rides where you swore no one could hit the high note in Sorry But You. He's the messy-haired teen on YouTube strumming a guitar, the polished pop star breaking records, and the headline-making bad boy who seemed to spiral in front of our eyes, all before turning 25. Which is why when people say something's off, it doesn't feel like idle gossip. And now, years after the dust has supposedly settled, reports suggest she's worried about him again. Not in a dramatic, tabloid-friendly way, but in the quiet, concerned way you worry about someone who's been a part of your life for so long that their pain still tugs at something deep inside you. And maybe that's why this rumor has legs. Because it's not just some anonymous source, it's allegedly someone with emotional receipts. Someone who's seen the unfiltered version of Justin, not just the Instagram highlight reel. Which begs the question, what does she know that we don't? Let's back up a little. For the past couple of years, Justin has been living a relatively low-key life compared to his wilder days. Marriage to Hailey Baldwin seemed to ground him in a new kind of stability. They became a fixture on each other's social media, posting cozy snapshots from vacations, silly TikToks from their living room, and the occasional faith-filled caption about their shared values. It painted a picture of a calmer, more centered Justin, the kind of guy who traded late-night parties for early-morning coffee runs. But fame has a funny way of bending reality. You can be living the healthiest chapter of your life and still have strangers online convinced you're falling apart, simply because you looked tired one day. So when those New York photos dropped scruffy beard, puffy eyes, a certain heaviness in his posture, fans didn't just see an off day. They saw shadows of the old struggles Justin has openly talked about in interviews and documentaries. And here's where things get tricky. On the one hand, Justin's manager has been crystal clear. The relapse rumors are completely false. On the other hand, there's a long, messy history between celebrity reps and the truth. Sometimes they're telling it straight. Sometimes they're protecting a client from a storm they're not ready to face publicly. And sometimes, the truth is somewhere in the middle, a situation that's not as bad as the internet thinks, but not as simple as everything's fine. That's the gray area where this story lives right now. Meanwhile, Selena's reported concern adds a whole emotional subplot. She's been through her own battles, lupus, mental health struggles, highly publicized breakups, and she's emerged with a reputation for empathy and authenticity. If she's truly worried about Justin, it's hard not to take that seriously. Not because she's an infallible judge of character, but because she knows what it's like to be in the middle of a health crisis while the world is watching. Maybe that's why she can't shake the feeling that something's not right. And this is where I have to ask, how much of our reaction to all this is about Justin and how much is about us? Because whether we admit it or not, there's a part of us that's invested in his story. We've seen the comeback arcs, the redemption narratives, the love story with Hailey. We want to believe he's okay, because it means the messiness of his past really is behind him. But if he's not okay, then what? Then we're reminded that healing isn't linear, that fame doesn't cure loneliness, and that even the most public love stories have private chapters we'll never read. Which brings us to one of the biggest unspoken truths of celebrity culture. It's easy to feel like we know someone because we've seen so much of them. The reality? We've seen the edited version. The world got Justin the pop star before we ever met Justin the person. And while he's been more candid in recent years, opening up about addiction, depression, and the toll of being famous from a young age, there's still so much we don't know. That gap between perception and reality is where rumors thrive. And the rumor mill is working overtime right now. Because no matter how far removed you are from someone's current life, caring about them, even quietly, is a risk when the world is watching. Say nothing and people think you don't care. Say something and it becomes a headline. It's a lose-lose situation unless the person you're worried about invites you into the conversation. But here's the thing, worry is rarely about logic. It's about that tug in your chest when you see someone you used to know looking lost. And if the reports are true, that's exactly what Selena is feeling right now. So where does that leave us? Somewhere between speculation and genuine concern. Between it's none of our business and we hope he's okay. And maybe that's the most honest place to be, not pretending we know the full story, but also not dismissing the signs that something might be wrong. As for Justin, only time will tell what's really going on. Maybe the New York photos were just bad lighting and bad timing. Maybe he's going through something privately and will address it when he's ready. Or maybe, and this is the outcome we're all quietly rooting for, he's perfectly fine, and the internet just needs to take a collective deep breath. Until then, the conversation will keep going. Fans will keep analyzing, insiders will keep whispering, and somewhere in the middle of all that noise, Justin will keep living his life, whether we approve of how it looks or not. And if there's one thing we can learn from all this, it's that caring from a distance is still caring. You don't need to have all the answers to hope someone finds their way through whatever they're facing. You just have to remember that behind the headlines, behind the speculation, there's a human being, one who, like all of us, is just trying to figure it out. And maybe, in the end, that's what makes this story resonate so much. It's not about pop stardom or famous exes or even relapse rumors. It's about the messy, complicated, deeply human act of caring about someone, even when you're no longer in their life. And if that doesn't make you think twice the next time you see a celebrity headline, I don't know what will.